Most people never become who they were truly meant to be because they spend their lives running away from discomfort instead of growing through it. Deep inside every person there is a stronger version waiting to rise, but that version can only be created through struggle, discipline, and sacrifice. The problem is that modern life makes distraction feel easier than purpose. People choose temporary comfort over long-term growth. They silence their ambitions with excuses and slowly accept an average life because chasing greatness feels painful and uncertain. Fear becomes their prison. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being different. Over time they stop believing in their own potential and begin living only to survive instead of truly living with purpose. Stoicism teaches that this is the greatest tragedy of human life, not failure itself but dying without ever discovering the strength that was hidden within you all along. The truth is that greatness is never built during moments of comfort. It is built in silence when nobody is watching. It is built when a person keeps going despite exhaustion, loneliness, and doubt. Most people wait for motivation to change their lives, but motivation is temporary and unreliable. The Stoics believe that real transformation comes from mastering your mind even on the days when you feel weak, tired, or uninspired. Every distraction, every excuse, and every moment of laziness slowly steals pieces of a person's future. Life does not wait for anyone to feel ready. Time keeps moving, and every day either builds your future or destroys it. The people who eventually rise above the crowd are not always the most talented. They are the ones who learn to control themselves when others cannot. Self-mastery is the hidden difference between those who only dream about greatness and those who actually become great. Every human being carries hidden potential inside them. A stronger mind, a wiser soul, and a more disciplined version of themselves already exists deep within, waiting to be awakened. But most people never discover that version because they become trapped by comfort and controlled by their emotions. They spend years chasing temporary pleasure, avoiding pain, and distracting themselves from the work required to truly grow. Fear quietly shapes their decisions. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of stepping outside the ordinary life that society expects from them. Over time their dreams become smaller, their confidence weakens, and they slowly lose connection with the person they could have become. Stoicism teaches that the greatest enemy is not the outside world but the weakness within. The real battle happens in your own mind every single day, between discipline and laziness, courage and fear, purpose and distraction. The moment a person learns to control themselves, everything begins to change. Self-mastery changes the way you think, speak, react, and live. Instead of being controlled by emotions, you begin controlling your responses. Instead of running from discomfort, you begin using pain as fuel for growth. The Stoics believe that suffering, challenges, and hardship are not punishments but opportunities to build inner strength. Every difficult moment in life can either break you or transform you depending on your mindset. True power comes when you stop blaming the world and take responsibility for your own actions, habits, and decisions. That is when discipline replaces excuses, clarity replaces confusion, and purpose replaces emptiness. The strongest people are not those who never struggle but those who continue fighting even when life becomes difficult. The moment you master yourself, you stop being a prisoner of your weaknesses and start becoming the person you were always meant to be. Comfort is one of the most silent dangers in human life because it does not attack suddenly, it slowly sedates ambition. It makes people believe that avoiding pain is the same as living well, when in reality it is often the reason they stop growing. Most individuals don't realize that every time they choose ease over effort, they are training their mind to resist discipline. Over time, this creates a life where challenges feel heavier than they actually are, and even small struggles start to feel overwhelming. Stoicism reminds us that discomfort is not something to fear but something to respect, because it reveals your weaknesses and shows you exactly where you need to grow. Without resistance, there is no strength, just as there is no muscle growth without pressure. Comfort may feel like protection, but it quietly removes the hunger that pushes a person toward greatness. The truth is that a life built only around comfort eventually becomes a life filled with regret. When people look back, they don't regret the moments they struggled, they regret the chances they avoided and the effort they never gave. Growth demands that you step into situations that challenge your emotions, test your patience, and force you to act even when you don't feel ready. Every difficult decision you delay becomes a barrier between you and your potential future self. Stoicism teaches that real freedom comes from mastering yourself in uncomfortable situations, not escaping them. Because when you learn to act with discipline instead of emotion, comfort no longer controls you, you control it. And in that moment, life stops being something that happens to you and starts becoming something you intentionally shape. Your mind can become your greatest enemy because it does not always speak truth, it speaks emotion. It takes small doubts and turns them into beliefs, then turns those beliefs into limitations. Fear is rarely based on reality, yet it feels real enough to stop action. Overthinking does not solve problems, it multiplies them until even simple decisions feel heavy and exhausting. Many people never fail because of the world outside them, they fail because they accept every negative thought as if it is a fact. Stoicism teaches that the mind is not meant to control you, it is meant to be trained by you. Without discipline, thoughts run wild and create imaginary problems that steal your focus from real opportunities in front of you. When a person begins to observe their thoughts instead of obeying them, everything starts to change. You realize that you are not your fear, not your doubt, and not your insecurity. These are just mental reactions, not your identity. The strength of a person is measured by how often they refuse to believe the lies their own mind tells them in moments of pressure. A disciplined mind does not mean a silent mind, it means a controlled one. It learns to question negativity instead of accepting it, and to act with clarity even when emotions feel loud. Stoicism calls this inner mastery, where peace is not dependent on external conditions but built from internal control. And once the mind is trained, fear loses its authority, negativity loses its weight, and life becomes something you can face with steady confidence instead of constant internal resistance. Distractions are stealing your future in a way that most people never notice until it is too late. They do not destroy life all at once, they break it into small unnoticed pieces of time. A few minutes of scrolling becomes hours, and those hours slowly replace the time that should have been used to build skills, improve habits, or move closer to real goals. Modern life is designed to keep the mind busy but not necessarily productive. It gives constant noise, constant updates, and constant comparison, which quietly weakens focus and creates a habit of shallow thinking. Stoicism teaches that the mind must be directed with intention, because whatever captures your attention also shapes your direction in life. When attention is wasted, potential is also wasted without feeling the loss in the moment. A distracted mind can never build anything meaningful because it never stays in one place long enough to create depth. Real progress requires patience, repetition, and the ability to stay committed even when progress feels slow or invisible. Every time you give in to distraction, you are training your mind to choose pleasure over purpose. Over time, this becomes a habit that weakens discipline and makes serious work feel uncomfortable. Stoics understood that focus is not just a skill, it is a form of self-respect because it shows that you value your future more than temporary entertainment. When you learn to protect your attention, you start protecting your time, and when you protect your time, you begin protecting your future. In the end, success is not only about what you do, but about what you refuse to let distract you from doing it. Fear keeps most people average because it quietly convinces them that staying safe is more important than growing. It does not stop people directly, it whispers excuses that sound reasonable in the moment. Fear of failure makes people avoid trying, fear of rejection makes them avoid speaking up, and fear of judgment makes them hide their true potential just to fit in. Over time, these fears build invisible walls around a person's life, keeping them inside a comfort zone that feels safe but slowly limits everything they could become. Stoicism teaches that fear is not a command, it is a reaction, and reactions do not deserve full control over your decisions. The real danger is not fear itself, but the habit of obeying it without question. Courage is not about living without fear, but about refusing to let fear decide your direction. Every meaningful achievement in life requires stepping into uncertainty, where results are not guaranteed and comfort is not available. Most people remain average not because they lack ability, but because they consistently choose approval over progress and safety over growth. The truth is, opinions of others lose power the moment you stop living for them. Stoicism reminds us that external judgment is temporary, but the regret of not trying lasts much longer. Greatness demands independence of mind, the strength to make difficult choices, and the discipline to keep moving even when you stand alone. In the end, those who overcome fear do not just achieve more, they become more than the version of themselves that fear tried to protect. Small habits create your future because life is not shaped by one big moment, but by the small choices you repeat when no one is watching. Most people underestimate these actions because they do not see instant results, so they assume they are not important. But Stoicism teaches that your life is essentially the reflection of your daily behavior. Every decision you make either strengthens discipline or strengthens weakness. Waking up a little earlier, choosing focus over distraction, controlling emotional reactions, and staying consistent with simple routines may look small in isolation, but together they slowly rebuild the direction of your entire life. Over time, these small actions stop being habits and start becoming your identity. Success is never the result of sudden change, it is the outcome of repeated discipline that compounds quietly over time. People often search for big breakthroughs, but real transformation happens in ordinary moments that feel insignificant in the beginning. The Stoics believe that excellence is not an event, it is a practice. Each day you either reinforce control over yourself or allow comfort to take control over you. The difference between an average life and a meaningful one is not talent or luck, but consistency in small decisions. When you stay committed to these daily habits, even when progress feels slow, you slowly build a version of yourself that is capable, focused, and resilient. In the end, your future is not decided by one action, but by thousands of small actions that quietly define who you become. Learn to control your emotions because most of the damage in life is not caused by situations themselves, but by the way people react to them. A single emotional reaction can destroy relationships, close opportunities, and create problems that were never necessary in the first place. Anger makes people speak without thinking, frustration makes them give up too early, jealousy distorts their perspective, and impatience pushes them into decisions they are not ready for. Stoicism teaches that emotions are natural, but being ruled by them is a choice. The real strength of a person is not measured by how intensely they feel, but by how wisely they respond when those feelings arise. Life will always present situations you cannot control, but your response is always within your control. Between what happens to you and how you react, there is a small but powerful space where your discipline is tested. A calm mind sees more clearly, thinks more logically, and avoids unnecessary regret. An emotional mind reacts first and understands later, often when it is already too late to undo the damage. The more you practice controlling your reactions instead of being controlled by them, the more stable your life becomes. Stoicism reminds us that inner peace is not found by avoiding emotional situations, but by mastering yourself within them. When you gain control over your emotions, you gain control over your decisions, and ultimately, control over the direction of your life. Solitude builds self-awareness because silence removes every distraction that people use to avoid themselves. In the noise of daily life, it is easy to stay busy enough to never question your own thoughts, actions, or direction. But when a person is alone, without entertainment or external influence, the mind begins to reveal what is usually ignored. This is why many people feel uncomfortable in solitude. It forces them to face their own fears, weaknesses, regrets, and unanswered questions. Stoicism teaches that this discomfort is not harmful, but necessary, because growth begins where avoidance ends. Without moments of honest reflection, a person can live for years without truly understanding why they think, act, or react the way they do. True transformation starts when you are willing to observe yourself without excuses or distraction. Solitude gives you the space to analyze your behavior, question your habits, and recognize patterns that are holding you back. When you reflect deeply, you begin to see that many of your problems are not external, but rooted in your own reactions and decisions. A person who avoids solitude also avoids growth, because they never pause long enough to correct their direction. Stoicism emphasizes that self-awareness is the foundation of self-mastery, and self-mastery is the path to real freedom. When you learn to sit with yourself honestly, you stop running from who you are and start building who you are capable of becoming. Pain can become your greatest teacher because it strips away illusions and forces you to see life as it truly is. In moments of comfort, people often believe they are stronger and more prepared than they actually are, but pain reveals the truth. It exposes weakness, tests patience, and shows how you respond when nothing feels in your control. Weak minds interpret suffering as a reason to stop, while strong minds see it as feedback that something inside them needs to grow. Stoicism teaches that adversity is not punishment, it is training. Every failure, disappointment, and hardship carries lessons that cannot be learned in comfort, because comfort never demands change. The deepest form of strength is built in moments when everything feels uncertain, yet you choose to continue anyway. Pain forces you to develop patience, discipline, and emotional control that you would never build in easy conditions. Many people only discover their real potential after they have been broken by experience and rebuilt through resilience. The darkest periods of life often become the turning points where character is formed and direction is changed. Stoicism reminds us that what happens to you is not as important as what you become because of it. Those who learn to move forward in their hardest moments do not just survive suffering, they transform it into wisdom, strength, and a deeper understanding of themselves. Time is running out, even when life feels slow and routine. Every day passes quietly, but it never returns, and most people only realize its value when it is already gone. The mind often behaves as if there is always more time to start, more time to change, and more time to become better. This illusion creates delay, and delay slowly turns into a life filled with unfinished goals and forgotten potential. Stoicism teaches that time is the most precious resource a person has, not because it is abundant, but because it is constantly being taken away. While people are distracted by comfort, fear, and excuses, life continues moving forward without pause. The tragedy is not that people fail, but that many never begin seriously enough to discover what they are capable of. Each choice you make today is shaping a version of your future self that you will eventually have to live with. Small delays repeated over time create large regrets, while small disciplined actions repeated consistently create transformation. Stoicism reminds us that awareness of mortality is not meant to create fear, but urgency. When you truly understand that time cannot be recovered, you begin to treat your decisions with more intention and your actions with more discipline. The person you become is not decided someday in the future, it is being built in every moment you choose how to spend your time right now. If you continue living exactly the way you are today, will your future self be proud of the person you become or disappointed by the potential you wasted? The moment you conquer your own mind, you stop being controlled by the world. If this video gave you real value, then don't just leave it here, take a moment to engage with it. Like the video if it resonated with you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content, and share your thoughts in the comments section because your perspective matters. Every single interaction helps this message reach more people who need it the most. Your support is not just about numbers, it is what allows this channel to grow and continue delivering deep, meaningful content like this. When you like, comment, and share, you become part of this journey and help spread ideas that can genuinely change someone's mindset or direction in life. Stay connected, stay consistent, and be part of a community focused on growth, discipline, and self-mastery.